Hello, it's Pavlo with your daily dose of Ukrainian accent and the continuation of story about Shanling. Today we'll talk about their mid-segment hybrid earphones ME600. They set price pretty reasonably. They cost $330 on the official site, and sometimes you can get them with some discount. But despite of relatively affordable price, it's a really sophisticated earphones, both in terms of design, you will see design for yourself, and in terms of internal structure. Shanling decided to use two 6mm dynamic drivers, two Helmholtz resonators, and dual balanced armature for mids, and balanced armature for the treble. All that with custom PCB, custom crossover PCB, and in tubeless design. That all sound pretty exciting, and taking into account Shanling's signature sound, it's even more interesting to hear what they offer. So let's have a closer look. Box is not huge, but surprisingly big for this price tire, and of course looks great. You can see this pattern that hints us the pattern of the faceplates, and on the rear side some technical specifications are printed, but for us the most interesting are that it's hybrid 2 dynamic plus 3 balanced armatures, 16 ohms of impedance and 100 decibels of sensitivity. So impedance is low, but sensitivity is not high. It's not super hard load, but pretty interesting. And inside we, as usual, getting cardboard box, then paper, then goes top layer with earphones themselves. We'll put them aside for a while. Then lot of different tips, manuals, cleaning tools. So you're getting 4 set of silicone tips and 3 pair each, and 2 pair of foams. Also pretty nice leather storage pouch, and inside you'll get replaceable filters and also replaceable connectors. So they feature replaceable connectors on cable, which is pretty good. So in general, accessory set is pretty great. Earpieces looks great. Interesting combination of colors, polished golden color on the inner side and nice solid black with unusual wavy texture on the outer side. Interesting combination, looks great. They also feels really solid. They are pretty weighty, so you're getting that feel of nice metal. Level of craftsmanship is great. Here you can see all these grooves, they are perfect, and the overall design is nice. One minor drawback that inner part gather fingerprints, but anyway, no one will see it. And outer part is prone to fingerprints, so that's a really good idea. I've had a bit of worry because of this pointy part here, but they fit nicely into my ears, so they are located properly. Can't say for everyone, but into my ears they fitting nicely and providing slightly above the average sound isolation. Spouts have a proper angle and they have a lip for holding the tips, and they can be unscrewed if you want to change the filters and tweak the sound. Traditionally, I can see spout of some of the balanced armature drivers here, so it's a common approach to the IEM's design nowadays. So everything is speaking about the quality here. So let me try to put this tip back. Cable is made replaceable, and here used MMCX connectors. And what surprised me here is that they even matched this groove on the MMCX connector to the overall design of the faceplates. So MMCX connectors are pretty tight and fitting nicely. If you want, you can use some other cable, but stock one is not only fitting the design of these IEMs, but it's also really solid cable. there are ear hooks for it to provide the good guidance, and the cable itself is really nice. It's solid, it's reliable, it's really soft, really on the softer side of things, with low microphonics and great overall look. It goes to this splitter with chin slider, and beneath the splitter it goes just braided down to this replaceable connector. And here everything is pretty simple. You just pull it with some force and you can disconnect it and replace the jack if you need, and then snap it back. So it's angled, it's actually pretty big, but at the same time, of course, pretty high of quality. So in general, I can say that I'm really impressed with this design. If we'll take Shanling audio engineers and give them interesting dual dynamic driver, we'll definitely get their signature fun, engaging, dynamic sound with a slight hint of warmth. And if on top of that we'll add a bunch of balanced armatures, we'll get nice technicality, and we'll get a good amount of resolution to balance the bass. And of course, we'll get nice coherence. All drivers here are stitched really well, and the transition is pretty smooth. So I'm meaning that we're getting fun sound with technicalities, but still more focused on being fun, entertaining, and not being monitoring or dry in any case. I've selected filters with white rings, as they sound most engaging to me. But of course, you can try all three versions. I'd probably say that they differ with amount of warmth, not like balanced, bright and bassy one, but like more balanced, bassy, and bassiest. But still, all options are pretty engaging, especially if you like meaty and well-present bass. So low frequencies goes to maximum depths, and the deep layers of bass are also well present. They are not moved to second stage. It's not that type of low bass that just builds the foundation for the mid bass. No, it's well present, pretty rumbly deep bass, which is unfortunate for me, but fortunate for many listeners. It's not maximum in terms of speed and snappiness and punchiness, but amount of small nuances and details and overall texturing is pretty nice. It's not a bass for those who prefer that fast, dry, punchy bass, something like, I don't know, super fast double floor drums or something like that. But with well recorded acoustic instruments and with electronic music, with almost anything, these basses sound engaging, meaty, and pretty dominant. At the same time, it's kind of well controlled and not bleeding onto mids, because mids are represented by balanced armatures and build a nice contrast. There is a bit of additional weight on the lower part of the mids, but more on that later. So first, let's have a look at the examples. And the first one is Fever by Valerie Joyce, and it's audiophile recording with great bass line, and these earphones deliver it pretty well. Maybe a bit more small nuances will make it even more hyper-realistic, but even without that, it's really enjoyable type of bass representation. And Glitch Mob, with their nice bass lines, sounds really great with these earphones, and especially if we take into account that contrast that we're having between meaty bass and clean, crisp mids and treble. So mids are nice, lower part is pretty fluid and smooth, but at the same time smooth, not in terms of lacking details, just in terms of being not overly pushed forward, but at the same time showing good macro dynamics and emotions. And the upper part of the mids is slightly focused on the small nuances to make female vocals, distorted guitars, and stuff like that sound clean and crisp. But at the same time, accent on the upper mids is not big, at least to my ears, so it's not sound fatiguing or irritating. Earphones are not critical for the quality of records, and they even trying to hide a bit of small nuances and issues with record quality, and they try to overwhelm you with all that fun engaging stuff, so you just not paying attention onto minor issues. Imaginary stage is pretty wide, depth is not that great, but still slightly above average, but width is really nice. Still pretty good positioning and sense of scale and sense of presence on the live records. And first example for the mids, it's Watchmaker by Steven Wilson. Great sophisticated guitar works, and all other accompanying instruments are really nicely represented with all nuances and details. But at the same time, track sounds really lively because earphones don't push too far into the micro contrast. And Ronnie by Metallica, I was afraid that bass and drums will be over dominating, but not in this case. Pretty nice sense of that raw sound that Metallica was leaning towards into mid 90s. And I kind of enjoy how this track sounds, and vocals sounds really great. In my humble opinion, 90s were the peak time for Hetfield in terms of vocal. He was mature enough, but still had his voice in peak condition. But of course, it's a matter of discussion here. And the treble, it has nice extension. It's a bit of balanced armaturish with that airy type of representation and slightly faster attacks and decays. Layering is not superb, but it's present and giving you nice sense of room where a record is proper. Of course, it's not some high-end earphones in terms of treble richness, but overtones are represented well, and also if you don't like forward treble, this pair will fit your tastes nicely. It's not some kind of veiled or recessed high frequencies, but not overly energetic and fatiguing and sharp in sibilance. So, first example, it's Eyes Wide Open by King Crimson. Nice track with a lot of overtones, especially on the vocal, and it's lacking a bit of finesse, these earphones, but still sounds really well and enjoyable and not aggressive. And the track that requires really high-end earphones to sound at 100%, but still thanks to balanced armatures here and good coherence, it still sounds really engaging with tons of nuances that is typical for Hoff Ensemble recordings. In terms of pairings, they don't require super powerful source, but still pairing them with just a regular smartphone or laptop won't be probably a best idea, so they will require some dongle deck and maybe not something high-end, but mid-segment deck for them will be really good solution, or some player. And surprisingly, I prefer these earphones with more natural sources that Shanling do. But of course, it's a matter of your preferences. If you like the signature sound, these earphones will highlight it and boost even further. But I prefer to keep them as they are without adding a bit of additional warmth with the source. So I pair them with more natural sources. In terms of comparisons, probably the only model that came to my mind from a similar segment is Fuse 15, if I remember correctly, the recent mid-segment hybrids, and the FIO has a bit less bass and a bit more boosted treble. Here you're getting a bit more relaxed treble and bit more smooth transition from bass to mids. You know, it's probably simpler to say what these earphones reminds me. They remind me a little bit Eco OH10 that I really liked as fun earphones. And also they reminds me Big U EYZ Spring, that not in terms of, representation or tuning, but more in terms of focusing emotions and dynamics. And in this aspect, those are pretty interesting earphones with great price and pretty fun sound. If you're looking for something like that, pay your attention. Thank you for listening and of course have a great day.